Ignore all of this. I'm in the process of moving. It's a slow process. Incredibly so. I haven't even touched those drawers yet. This is not anything right now. My videos take some time. This is mostly because I'm lazy and writing scripts takes effort. However, it's also because I'm a university student. Game design, to be specific. God, I am going nowhere in life. AI is taking my job. AI is taking any job I might have. I'm fucking fully cooked. It's fine. It is what it is. I stay awake at night thinking about how hopeless the future is. That's beside the point. Actually, that kind of relates to the video. I might be onto something here. The stress of university can get so bad, especially towards the end of each semester. I have just finished, I did my first exam. It was awful. I hated it. I went into this big room full of all these people. I'd never done it before. I was so stressed. I'm not taking any more politics classes. Yeah, university is really, really stressful. However, the idea of stress and like manifestations of stress is something I haven't seen very often represented in games and media. However, there is a little game that does delve deep into this idea, and that game is looking up I See Only a Ceiling. This game is so cute, and it explores a feeling that hasn't really been explored in many games before. This feeling of a weight crashing down on you as the clock slowly ticks down to the end, and even though you know the end is coming, you distract yourself with pointless endeavors that don't help you when that end inevitably reaches you. This game is created by Silver978. So far, this is their only project, but I'm really looking forward to what they make next. I'm going to break down looking up I See Only a Ceiling. I'm going to cover the themes, the gameplay, the overall story. As I say in literally every video, please go play the game. It's very short and incredibly cheap, so I'd highly recommend it, especially if you've ever felt fully crushed by stress and an unbelievable amount of anxiety. Even if you haven't, it's a great game nonetheless. So go play it. I think I spent like $2 on it, and then I spent like an extra $2 on the DLC, which is even better than the main game, but we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. This time. There's heaps of time. I wrote way more about this game than I thought I did. Holy shit. This game takes a first-person approach that really puts you into the shoes of the girl. That's her name. Well, not her name, she is just girl. And then there is boy. The game opens with boy telling her to get up, and then you start the day. She immediately starts talking about how even though she just woke up, she looks very tired with bags under her eyes. She immediately talks about how she needs to study. But first, breakfast. Of course, this game uses excellent pixel art and characters, as well as great background art and like environmental storytelling, letting you explore the house and inspect whatever object it allows you to. Doing this allows you to really delve deep into like what is happening and into like... Sorry, I'm getting distracted by my second monitor. Stop! You then get to travel around the house until you eventually enter the kitchen and make breakfast. After eating, she finds bloody scissors in the sink and cleans them up. As she goes to leave the kitchen, she then enters a hallway she's never entered before in her house. The hallway has a calendar on the end that points her in the way to go. Here she enters another hallway full of books and calendars as well, and there is a boy sitting in this hallway poring over calendars trying to make sure all the dates are in order. He then approaches the girl, welcoming her to this place. The books around all show biology, and she tells him she must get going. He asks her why, and she says she needs to get back home. He wonders about home. If you inspect him after, he talks about how much work he has to do and the amount of dates that need to be tracked. It's, at this point, already pretty clear the themes of this game and the idea it's trying to get across. Often in university, it can feel like an absolute nightmare trying to organize due dates and know what to prioritize when working. I don't know if this is the same for like college. I'm not fucking American. I don't know what you guys do there. Honestly, from what I've seen in movies, you just play a lot of football and sing a cappella. I've only really seen Pitch Perfect, I'm gonna be honest. I haven't seen and Community. This can often feel like a mess, and if you're like me and try to manage it all in your head, then you can feel like you're actually going insane and your world is pressing in on you. I'm kind of going really hard on the themes of this game, but it's because I've never felt so seen before. This gets even better as right after she enters the bathroom to freshen up, but before she goes into the bathroom, she's at her desk and she looks out the window. She then sees the boy like poke his head up and then point upwards to something, and then immediately leaves. I love that guy. He's great. He's excellent. In the bathroom, she talks about how there is nothing better than a bath to relax her, and then she brushes her teeth, and after she does this, the world begins to fall away below her and around her, which is insane. A pit opens in the floor, and out comes hands which reach around her neck and begin to suffocate her. I think you get it right. Like, you get it. She ponders the hole in the floor and how it could have happened. In the mirror, she sees hands around her, but with her own eyes, she sees there is actually nothing there. She says the door is locked and decides to look into the pit. Holding her back from falling is the boy again, who she questions again, trying to determine where he came from. And he says he came from the door, obviously, and then leaves through it. In the bath, there is a mannequin, and the girl says how it sits the exact same way she sits when she's in the bath, which is a little spooky, I guess. She then leaves the bathroom. The whole bathroom scene is so good. It really emphasizes the feeling of the world falling away beneath you. The amount of stress feels overwhelming, that it feels like the world has fallen away and you're one step from falling into an endless pit, a bottomless void, a place you will never return from, a place where there is no hope for you. You know, classic university end of semester feeling. You know, we've all been there, right? Like, it's how it is, you know? I think I've lost hair over trying to think about due dates. I think I started balding. This, plus the hands reaching around her throat, suffocating her, this feeling is way too common for me, and I'm sure many other students. There are times when you feel so overwhelmed by stress, it feels difficult to breathe. Like, classic, right? This scene is so perfect, and it gets even better from now on. It was basically after this scene where I went, Google Docs open, script. We typing it. After leaving the bathroom, it all begins to fall apart. Water breaks through the window in the hallway and begins to fill the house. The girl knows she must get out and begins to run to the front door. However, it's unfortunately locked. With no other option, she sees a door to the attic and knows and knows that's where she has to go. She clicks the little thing that opens attic doors. I don't know what the hell it's called, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think it really matters all that much what it's called. It's just kind of a thing. It's like the thing that opens attic doors. You know what it is. You know what it is. I don't have to tell you what it is. I don't have to. Heading into the attic, we see this impossibly large space with multiple entrances to the attic, with many of which having people that seem to have died as they were entering the attic. As she travels through the attic towards the door on the far side, there begins to be the sound of a ticking clock. and out of the attic entrance comes this giant clock monster with multiple hands that begin to chase her down. With it catching her, you are given the choice. You can either use whatever you have in your hand, unless you have nothing in your hand, then it's actually just over for you, and the creature will kill you. The key to this is to collect the scissors before going into the attic. Without the scissors, the creature catches you, and there's no help after she is overcome by the monster. This is simply the bad ending. However, collecting the scissors gives the girl a chance to fight back against the creature and gives her a chance to escape. She awakens in the bath after seemingly falling asleep. She's fully dressed as well in this bath. She then gets up and heads out of the bathroom feeling like a weight has been lifted off of her. She heads outside with the boy in tow. It's explained in the explore mode that the boy is a part of her conscience and is always with her. He's like, you know, the bit that gives her hope when everything seems fucking sick and twisted, I guess. So as she steps out feeling the weight lifted off her, he as well follows her, always there to help her manage her emotions and try to keep things together even when everything looks like it's going terribly, and the nightmares are seeping into reality. After she leaves the house free of the creature that she injured heavily in the attic, the game ends on the good ending. This ends, looking up, I see only a ceiling. In the explore mode, we also find out that the attic doesn't really exist, and it turned out to just be something else entirely. There was nothing there. It was just nothing. Looking at this game after finishing it, the themes and ideas presented are very clear. I've already jumped the gun a bit and explained how the themes of the game are about dealing with stress and anxiety around things in life. This is all caused by an upcoming biology test that the girl has coming up. Unable to deal with the amount of stress, she loses sleep over it and eventually falls asleep in the bath. She then has a nightmare where the world itself begins to fall apart and a creature that embodies stress itself tries to overcome and kill her. However, using her wits and the help of the boy in her head, she fights back, and as the final achievement says, she breaks the loop of stress and being overcome by it. She then leaves the house to get some much needed fresh air. I absolutely love this. There is so often that I can get so in my own head and stop doing anything, and this just makes it so much worse. I feel so suffocated and overwhelmed inside, but I can't leave because I have so much work left to do. This is a trap that anyone can fall into, and you need to take a break literally to free yourself from this. I love the way this game explores that feeling, and it's done in such a good way, using the environment and the art and the characters to tell a story. It really resonated with me. It's such a sweet ending with the loop breaking. Wouldn't it be nice to just leave it there with such a nice feeling ending, dealing with your stress in a healthy way? That'd be a great place to leave it. However, that's not how this works. You don't deal with it one time and then you're free for your entire life. Oh no, stress comes back, and it can get much worse. It can be so intense that I guess you could call it a relapse. I finished this game in like 15 minutes and was immediately keen for more game. Crazy thing is there's a DLC named The Relapse and it's super incredibly cheap, so go buy it right now so Silver978 can make more games. Please, 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 and thank you. It's like $1 AUD to USD, so it's probably like, it's like $1 Australian, so in American it's probably like, I don't know, a cent. I don't know, you guys do shit weird over there, I guess. The DLC it's great, it's really good. It takes the main game and pushes it up to 11, giving a whole extra story with new areas and new characters, as well as a much longer story than the main game with more chapters and new disturbing ideas to explore. To enter the DLC, you must first enter free mode and explore a bit, before you then leave the house with the girl talking about how it's time she faced what's out there. Leaving the apartment, we see Tex talking about how after the events of the ceiling, things got better. But as we all know, life reserves us challenges where we never look. Outside the apartment, the girl talks about how today she has one of the last exams for her course and needs to go to the university in time for the exam. As she heads out of the apartment, she sees someone running out of their room in a hurry, leaving their ID and their door open. Honestly, whoever that was seems like such a mess. Like, really, who would do that? Who would leave with everything open? It's honestly crazy talk. The girl mentions how she's gonna take what she learned from the day in this story. She's gonna take what she learned from the main game, basically. That makes sense. She then travels down the stairs and heads through reception, seeing the receptionist, and then finally heading towards the bus. Before reaching out and noticing that the bus is nothing more than a sheet of paper, she pulls it away, revealing she's still in the stairwell. However, it's actually just fully a nightmare now. There's a ton of blood and shadows, and it really just all sucks. The receptionist is now just a corpse rotting in the main room, and there's no door out anymore. Instead, a staircase into somewhere. Then we get something crazy, something that hasn't been seen in this game, a puzzle. You must complete a sequence of events to reach the next area. It's, albeit a very simple puzzle, and overall isn't that hard, but it is super cool to see that they added this to the game, and it really shows how far they've come from the main game to the DLC. After finding the key and leaving the room, she is chased down by some shadow creatures that come out of the darkness. We get a new system here as well, a quick time event, where you must escape before the timer runs out and the creatures catch up. Again, very simple mechanic, but really cool to see something new added. The first time this happened, I actually kind of got really scared. I was not expecting anything like this. They tell you it's coming, which is probably the only thing I would change. I don't think you need to tell the player about a QuickTime event. The QuickTime event itself is very intuitive, and I think players can work it out for themselves what is going on. You don't really need a tutorial to tell the player to click this thing before the ticking clock runs out. That's kind of like, yeah, like I got scared, but I feel like I would have been way more scared if I didn't know it was coming. Moving through this area, we then head out into the sunshine, and the girl enters a taxi to take her to the university. And the driver of this taxi might look a little familiar. He talks about what's stressing her out, and she says how she has an exam, and it creates this thing inside of her that she hates. He says moments of failure are chances to grow. So, after this little pep talk, off to the university for the exam. The school looks fine for the most part, at least until you enter inside. Then we get the classic nightmare realm we are so used to at this point. Here we do another simple puzzle of cleaning off some room labels, and then you can input a code into the locked door at the end of the hallway. I was incredibly stupid and spammed the button accidentally, which I guess gave me an achievement for being stupid, so I love that. That's great. Thank you for letting me know how dumb I am. Appreciate that. Needed to know that. Was not sure. Finally reaching the exam room and bumping into the boy from earlier. He looks incredibly distressed. He talks about how anxious he is over this exam and how he doesn't stand a chance of passing. Sorry, this is not the boy, like the one in the taxi. This is the boy that ran out of his room at the start of this. I don't think I made that very clear, but just so you know. He looks around in a panic and mentions how he apologizes for bringing it here. And out from behind him comes this shadowy guy with a knife and covered in blood, and this guy tells them both to go home and give up on the exam, and if they do that, then it won't hurt them. However, my goat, the boy this time, shows up and fights this bloody shadow guy off. Bloody as in like he's covered in blood, not bloody as in British, isn't it? That's not. He fights this shadow guy off with the scissors from the main game. However, this time they break. The scissors aren't enough to beat this thing this time. This is like the final form of the creature we saw in the main game. This is its antithesis. I fucking love it. I kind of like how the final form is like this edgy shadow guy. That's kind of awesome. That's kind of really funny, but also horrific, but also really funny. It also shows how powerful stress and anxiety can become in our lives, especially because this is all caused by the final exam of the course. The boy can't beat this creature, so the girl runs away and ends up back in the exam room after like a big loop she takes. The creature shows up again to get her, but luckily the boy is there to knock it down. This then gives her a chance to take the exam. Heading in, she feels more confident than ever before, and with the boy beside her, it can be done. Then the creature gets up and stabs the boy in the back, and he bleeds out on the floor. This is when the game splits into 3 possible endings. However, to get the true ending, you must first complete the bad ending and the good ending. The good ending question mark, I'm pretty sure. In these endings, you will find calendars. To get the true ending, you need to collect all 10 calendars in total. Now, the way the calendars work is she mentions how they will help her be ready and gain some sort of experience to face the exam. My interpretation of this is the good ending and the bad ending is her thinking through the many ways this exam can go and learning from them, and being ready to face whatever happens with the healthiest mindset possible. The bad ending is when you watch the boy get killed by the creature. She sees the creature cut into him with blood going everywhere, and then we cut to her in her apartment a little bit later. She at this point is in a very rough state. It can be guessed that she didn't do the exam and feels so incredibly bad. She goes to eat but isn't hungry. She then heads to her bedroom and sees the boy there hanging. She falls back and then completely blocks out the fact that she's even had a bedroom to cope with this. At the front door, the guy arrives and she's shocked he's still chasing her, and she runs to the bathroom to hide. The reality then begins to break down and the apartment floods yet again, leaving her to drown this time with no attic to escape to. This is the bad ending. She's left all alone with no way to overcome this feeling of stress, and there is a chance that she will never recover from this. So instead of watching him die, you can instead leave and go to the exam. We then go back to the exam room and she takes the exam, feeling terrible and in the worst possible mindset she can be. She sees all the other people in the room judging her, and when the exam is done, she gets up and leaves with headphones on. She finishes the exam and leaves, knowing now that she's all alone and she must move forward by herself. She may have only just overcome the stress this time, but there's a chance the next time this happens, she won't be able to overcome it and will be drowned by it. We won't know, as this is where the game leaves us. This is the good ending ? So of course, the game can't end here. There's got to be more game. She needs to get through this. It's how game works. Game makes sense. Now, there is another ending, but to get it, as I mentioned, we must first find all the calendars to gain the experience needed to overcome this. You can find the last 2 calendars in the 2 different endings, as I mentioned earlier. Yet again, once collecting the experience she needs to deal with this tragedy, she is now able to step in and prevent the boy from getting killed. The boy tosses her the scissors and she drives it into the creature, and it begins to morph into a terrifying creature, even more terrifying than it was before, which grows bigger and comes after her until it's shot in the fucking head and it bleeds out on the floor by a girl who was with the boy. The boy that broke out of his apartment and brought the creature here. She is just like the boy. I wish they had names. It's kind of... Now that I'm reading this out loud, when I wrote this it made sense. Reading out loud, it's kind of really complicated. I'm gonna have visual cues on the screen so you know who I'm talking about. Hopefully, if I'm good at my fucking job. Nah, this ain't my job. If I'm good at my fucking hobby? Yeah, that sounds right. So she is a part of this guy's subconscious, and she has stepped up to save the day. So the girl and the boy head to the exam room with the girl carrying the boy, and as these the main ones again, I'm not even gonna, with the girl carrying the boy, and as they get there with the newfound strength, they feel great and so ready to face the final exam. You can immediately see the entire atmosphere is different now. The room is friendly and full of smiling people. The boy talks about the challenges we face throughout life and says how it's not goodbye, but he'll be back, and leaves the girl to do what she needs to do. After the exam, she says how she believes in herself and is confident in her results. After leaving, she sees the boy sitting down on his laptop, and then heads off talking to the boy, and the text reads how she finally took the first steps by herself. Interestingly, this is the same idea presented in the good ending ? However, this time, she has a friend. She may be taking the first steps herself, but she doesn't need to do it alone. Before there was a ceiling, now an outside world. They talk about how she's grown as a person and become more confident. This is the true ending of the game. I find it very interesting that in no way do they show the results of her exam, because this isn't the point. The point isn't about passing or failing, it's about feeling confident in yourself and your abilities. Going into a challenge in a good headspace and knowing that no matter what, you'll overcome this, that's the main point of this game. As someone who did their first exam in university this year, I can fully understand where this is coming from. I didn't deal with the stress in a healthy way. I played League of Legends. I don't know if this is a safe space to mention that. I'm gonna leave that there and we're gonna move on. And the closer the exam got, the more I felt this weight pressing down on me. We see this stress manifest in the game throughout multiple times. and how it can grow and be spread by people. I definitely feel like stress can be spread to me when others around me start to stress, and I love the way this game shows how stress can take a hold of people's lives and slowly infest and grow until you drown in it with no escape. The idea of stress being a monster hasn't really been explored in many games I've played, and I think it's very clever the game doesn't try and hide its themes and is very clear about them. Overall, I think the message could be a little more subtle. It's definitely on the nose a little bit. At the end of the relapse, we see the boy before the girl meets him, and he talks about how bad his overthinking is, which I think is a little on the nose. However, the scene before this is great, so I'm fine with it. The end scene is more just to show how the stress thing has manifested through him. Overall, I love this game. I think it's extremely unique, the gameplay loop is fun and continues to improve, especially in the DLC. And I can't wait to see what Silver 978 does next. So, I'm going to keep an eye on them, you should keep an eye on them, and don't let stress kill you. I think that's everything I had to say about this. Thank you for watching. I had way more to say about this than I was expecting. I kind of was like, let me just type a little script. Next thing I know, fucking massive, incredible script, and that's it. That is, looking up, I see only a ceiling. Great game. Really, really good. I like it a lot. So, thank you, and I will continue working on videos maybe, or uni will pile stress on me and I will die. I will suffocate and die from stress. That could be how I go out. Honestly, there's worse ways to go out. I could drown. Just remember, you could die at any time. This has nothing to do with stress. Oh my god, this is a bad ending.